Instagram is live, and now I think I'm live over on Facebook as well. This is the first time I have done my Keeping It Real weekly series, both simultaneously live on Facebook and Instagram. So bear with me. Let's hope that this works. And hopefully, you guys are both getting the information at the same time. My name is Susan Johnson. Thank you guys for joining. I am a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm also the founder of the Kick Cancer Movement, and I'm a presidential diamond with doTERRA Essential Oils. Most importantly, I'm a mom and I'm a wife to my better half. We've been married 14 years yesterday. We celebrated. And I love using this space both on Instagram and over on Facebook to educate people on really living their healthiest life. Sometimes we talk about health in the physical aspect. Sometimes we talk about health in the emotional aspect. Sometimes we talk about leadership and what that looks like, having healthy leadership skills and just really truly living your life in the healthiest way possible. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite foods that we recently were able to introduce into our family, which is fermented sourdough. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I say fermented. Many of you have begged and begged and begged me to share my recipe and how I do fermented sourdough. So I did. And you can click the link in my profile on Instagram, the link that I posted on Facebook to read the blog post where I gave it all away. So I shared the recipe. We shared my favorite waffle recipe, as well as the process of properly preparing your grains and making your sourdough starter. Now, when I say it was actually the sourdough guru herself, Min Kim. She was my guest post. She's who I learned everything from. So let me stop and just ask you to share this. If you have friends and family who have been begging to eat bread, they want to bring it back into their life, they want to be able to enjoy a good, nice slice of warm bread with butter on it. Oh my gosh, you guys. My family truly does love me a little bit more every time I bake a fresh batch of sourdough. So I ask you to share this. You can just easily share it on Facebook. I'm not sure actually if you can share it on Instagram. I don't know how that works. Sorry. But Angie, hi. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Brooke. Okay, so here is what we're going to talk about first. What are properly prepared grains? So traditionally, when we would consume grains, we would always soak and sprout them. That's actually how we should be doing it now. And the main reason for that is when you eat an improperly prepared grain, so for example, you go to the store and you buy some rice and you just cook it up without doing anything else to it. Or perhaps you buy a loaf of bread that's organic wheat, but it hasn't been properly prepared. That means that they haven't soaked and sprouted the grains. The purpose of soaking and sprouting your grains is that you're removing the phytic acid. Phytic acid is a digestive inhibitor. Basically what it does is phytic acid is present in improperly prepared grains, and it binds to all the good important nutrients in your digestive tract. So not only when you don't prepare your grains properly, not only are you not able to digest them very well, you're not feeling well eating them that way, but you're also ripping your body and stealing from your body some important nutrients because of that phytic acid. So when you properly prepare grains, such as, let's use the example of rice, you soak your rice for usually 6 to 8 hours, rinse it, and then you can cook it. It's really simple. If you're properly preparing your nuts and seeds, even not just grains, but nuts and seeds, you're going to soak your nuts for usually 6 to 8 hours. You're going to dry them out, and then you're going to put them in a dehydrator for up to 24 hours to really dry them out. Now you have really, really digestible and healthy grains and nuts and seeds. So why fermented sourdough? What does that mean? What's the purpose of it? And when you say fermented, isn't sourdough already fermented? That's what a lot of you guys ask fairly often. So let me first explain. There's 3 reasons why you want your sourdough to be truly fermented, okay? Number 1, the fermentation process breaks down the complex carbohydrates. So what that means is you're breaking down the complex carbohydrates and you're allowing the sugar that's broken down from those carbohydrates to feed the good bacteria in the bread, which is turning it into a low glycemic grain. Now, is bread keto? For those of you following a ketogenic diet or wanting to kind of stick to more of a keto lifestyle, bread is not keto, even fermented sourdough. But fermented sourdough is way lower on the glycemic index than traditionally purchased, organic bread. Okay, even organic sprouted bread. The reason being is the sourdough goes through a fermentation process. Now, I'm not going to explain how to ferment it because that's on my blog post, but I want to just explain to you why we're fermenting it and the health benefits. The second reason that you would want to ferment is because it breaks down the gluten protein chains. Now, a lot of you say, well, is fermented sourdough bread truly gluten-free? It's not 100% gluten-free, but the fermentation process breaks down those long chain gluten proteins to make it be less glutinous, okay? And in turn, it's more digestible. Gluten can be so hard to consume for so many of us. In fact, as a family, we didn't really do bread before I was able to learn about the fermented sourdough. We didn't feel good eating it. We weren't necessarily gluten intolerant. We just didn't feel good eating it. But now that I'm properly preparing it and I'm fermenting it, we eat it and we feel good. We feel well while we're eating it because of the fermentation process, breaking down the complex carbohydrates, feeding the good bacteria. We're also breaking down those gluten protein chains to make it way more digestible. Now, third and finally, I love this part about fermentation, is when you're fermenting the sourdough, you're actually creating a prebiotic. Prebiotic is what feeds the bacteria in your gut to absorb a probiotic. Now, many of you are probably going, wait a second, so there's a probiotic and there's a prebiotic? How is that? Prebiotics and probiotics actually work simultaneously. So in the fermentation process, you are creating a prebiotic, and thus the bread is way more digestible and is contributing to the good bacteria in your gut. Okay, that was a lot. You guys get it all? Also, I want to make a note that not always on my Keeping It Real, there's a huge premise, I think, behind a lot of you, and I talk to many of you often who are maybe you're also entrepreneurs and you get hesitant about going live on Facebook because you feel like it has to be perfect. So that's why I call this Keeping It Real, because I may be in my workout clothes. I may not have brushed my hair yet, and I am not always properly prepared like I like my grains, but that's how we call it Keeping It Real. Bottom line is, I hope you learned something today. Hope you benefited. Read the blog post to get all the goods, all the details about how to properly prepare your fermented sourdough. And we left you with a really great recipe on there as well. So we'll see you guys next week on Keeping It Real. Bye, Facebook. See you later, Instagram.